If you like to make your NFL games a little bit more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast, Part 2. Every week, remember, we now have 2 episodes a week that you can check out either on your audio podcast app. Make sure you subscribe and turn the notifications on. I can't emphasize the second part enough because it's that critical that you listen right away or watch youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. You know why? Because there's already been a lot of line movement in the 48 hours since Tuesday's show, most of it in our favor. Then we got Dr. Chow on in a little bit. Dr. Chow is going to give some big-time injury information that other people don't know, including some prop bets that you guys should strongly consider firing on right away. So we'll dive into it. I'm Ross Tucker, the former NFL offensive lineman, at Ross Tucker NFL on social. We're at Ross Tucker Pod. My co-host is the great Steve Fezzik, at Fezzik Sports on social media, and only at Fezzik Sports. You got to check out both episodes. The second one, we discuss the line movement. We talk with Dr. Chow. We've got prop bets from Steve and Dr. Chow, and we've got parlays. We'll get to all of them. By the way, side note, Steve, I still haven't made a decision yet. We're definitely going to at least give teaser legs out. Haven't made a decision yet on continuing to be graded by units versus the VIG, because a surprising amount of people that reached out, whether it's patreon.com/RTmedia if they're on our private Slack channel, or those that emailed me, ross@rosstucker.com, surprising number of people like that we measure it by units because they say the VIG is different at different books. So that was their logic. Usually we've gotten criticism from people saying, include the VIG, include the VIG. I was actually surprised how many people said, please just keep doing it based on units. So we still need to figure that out. I want to get a little more feedback before we make that ultimate determination. Here's the thing. Steve, I got multiple emails this week from people saying, do you guys move the lines this much? Because some of these people, by the time they listen or watch the show, a lot of the lines aren't available anymore. So let's talk about it specifically for some of the ones that we bet. I think you had the Jets getting the 7 points, Steve. Now they're only getting 6.5. There's no line movement, by the way, for tonight's game. Commanders still getting 3.5. But for Bills and the Jets, Steve, you had the Jets, I believe, getting 7. Now it's 6.5. That's an important half point.
Oh, huge. You can't bet the Jets not getting the 7, and a reflection of the fact that Jets phony loss last week. They won the stats, and Bills phony win where, they were like 3% at one point in the fourth quarter to win. And people see that. And also there's a trend. If you just bet 0-1 teams against 1-0 teams, you're 54-40 against the spread going back 10 years. So it didn't surprise me. Money came in on the Jets.
All right. Giants, Cowboys, I think that line is the same, or at least I'm not noticing it. Browns, Ravens, my game for CBS, Steve. We got the Browns last week, or at least I did, or on Tuesday, I should say, for 12.5 points. Now it's down to 11.5, a full point of closing line value right now, or at least current line value that we got on the Browns. I wonder why that line came, just because they think the Browns look pretty good and that number's too high?
Pulling back the curtain, a well-known NFL handicapper released Cleveland, and he has lots of followers. And so the doctor prescribed play on Cleveland, and people filled their RX slips with it, and it dropped down to 11.5.
Wrong. It was us. They heard me on Tuesday's Even Money podcast. We have thousands upon thousands of listeners. We move the lines, nobody else. Rams, Titans is the same. Seahawks, Steelers, same. Jags, Bengals, same. Obviously, and we'll talk to Dr. Chow about this momentarily, big difference is the Niners and Saints, although maybe not as much as I would have thought. I got the Saints getting 4.5. And now where it looks like Kyle Shanahan says Brock Purdy's a long shot, now the Saints are getting 3. Are they telling me that Brock Purdy's only worth 1.5 over Mac Jones, Steve?
No, the line would have been 7 to 7.5. But what happened is that by Tuesday, there were major concerns about whether Purdy would play, but we weren't sure. So that was a hybrid line where it basically said, hey, Purdy has a 40% or so chance of playing, and that's why it was 4.5. If Purdy was 100% playing, this line would be 7, and now it's 3. So Vegas is saying it's a 4-point adjustment, which I agree with.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. I'm curious to ask Dr. Chow about that because it's rare for a guy to finish a game and then not be able to play. And I think I saw where Shanahan even said it might be a multi-week injury. That's fascinating. Bears, Lions. Okay, how about this one? This is one where I did not get the value, Steve. I took the Bears getting 4.5. That line's up to 6.
I think what's going on is that the Bears are banged up on defense. Maybe Dr. Chow can comment on that and get right game for Detroit at home after a bad showing last week.
All right. Carolina, Arizona looks the same. Denver, Indy is about the same. Indy actually was getting 2.5. Now they're only getting 1.5. So that teaser leg up to 8.5 was a very good play. We got a full point there. Chiefs, Eagles, the line is the same. Falcons, Vikings. How about this one? This one, we had the Falcons plus 5.5, Steve. I had that for 2 units. Now it's Falcons plus 3.5. Where'd those 2 points come from?
Yeah, so we didn't understand why the line was so high to begin with, but also Atlanta got some good news on the receiver front. So that's certainly driving that as well. And, frankly, Minnesota's better than Atlanta, but not that much better for them to be laying almost a touchdown. Minnesota should be laying 3.5. That's the right number now.
Okay, let's get to the Monday night games. Bucks and Texans, that line is still the same. And then Chargers, Raiders. Steve, I can't remember if you were on this with me, but we got the Raiders plus 3, and now the Raiders we got the Raiders plus 3.5. Now it's plus 3. That's another big half point, Steve.
Absolutely. And, really bad spot for the Chargers. They were just in South America, and next week they're playing Denver. 3 straight division games. Crazy. If ever, a Monday night game's never going to be a soft spot, but this is a challenge for the Chargers to start the season with those 3 games.
All right, I want to get to some props and parlays, but first, as promised, we got to get the latest injury info from Dr. Chow from @6score. We are back, baby, with Dr. Chow again this week. Dr. Chow, refresh my memory. I think last week you were pretty high on the Colts skill guys because of all the issues the Dolphins had, especially in the secondary, right?
Yeah, and another way to put it, not to be negative, but we were actually downers on the Colts defense. Sorry, on the Dolphins defense more than up on the Colts offense. And with all the cornerback and safety secondary issues and some linebacker issues, and it didn't help that Storm Duck got hurt during the game either. So Colts, pretty much everything Colts hit over, and it was an easy game. Yes, that's what the prop calculator said.
Ooh, tell me again the prop calculator.
Okay, so the prop calculator, look, if you're looking at taking numbers on Michael Pittman, let's say, it's good to know Michael Pittman's health. But what the prop calculator does, it takes into account at Sports Injury Central the health of the Colts offensive line against the health of the Dolphins edge rushers, which were a little bit down, against the health of the secondary of the Dolphins, which was down. So that indexed, I don't know, something like at 117, over because of the health issues, not of Pittman, but who he's facing and his offensive line. And that's what the prop calculator does, unlike other services where it's like, is CMC healthy or not? Well, what about all the other peripherals? And that's what we take into account.
Got it. All right. As a reminder, follow Dr. Chow on social at ProFootballDoc, and you should be all over the website, sixscore.com, Sports Injury Central. What about tonight, Doc? You got anything for us on Commanders Packers?
Well, the biggest thing we've been saying for a little bit, I get that Zach Tom is questionable, Aaron Banks is questionable. We've been saying all week they're not going to play. And that's the right guard, right tackle. Ross, everyone knows, especially you, the effect of the offensive line and shuffle, especially with one side like that being replaced. And with that, that's going to be a tougher sledding for Green Bay. And with that, and we do believe Micah Parsons is going to play, Josh Jacobs' unders in terms of props is what pops off the prop calculator.
Got it.
I think it's 77 and a half yards rushing. Yeah. So I think it's down
under 77 and a half rushing for Jacobs, down to 2 offensive linemen. All right, so we got to talk about the Niners, Dr. Chow. And especially Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan said he's a long shot to play this week. Sounds like it's a multi-week injury. This is kind of rare to me, a guy that finishes a game and yet he has a multi-week injury after that. What do you think's going on here?
Well, we just figured out, found the video. I haven't even shot the video yet, so Even Money Podcast will get this first out of anyone here. Bad second quarter for Brock Purdy, tough one. Early in the second quarter, lands on his left non-throwing shoulder, mild AC joint sprain. And at about the 2-minute warning, tackled out of bounds on the left sideline, and a turf toe on the right foot is what he has. The turf toe is the bigger issue than the shoulder. The shoulder can be injected. And, Kyle Shanahan traditionally is fairly honest. It is somewhat surprising that he finished the game and now is out. And to be totally honest, from our war room of 8 people, I guess we need 16. We didn't see the injuries in real time, and note them in real time. And we didn't see him limping around either afterwards. His numbers in the second half were just as good. So with that, we're hoping he's going to avoid injured reserve and be closer to the 2-3 week mark than the 5 week mark.
So I guess 2 thoughts on this. One is, what does that mean for this game for the Niners? Is there a bet to make for this game?
Well, if we look at our calculators, prop calculators and the other calculators, it's a couple of offensive issues. Obviously, a quarterback change. We'll see what Mac Jones can do. CMC seems fine. But remember, George Kittle is also on injured reserve now and out, still missing Ayuk, et cetera. And Jawan Jennings as a big question mark. So we're leaning there towards an under San Francisco 21.5 is what our numbers say.
Ooh, I like that quite a bit because I was pretty impressed with the Saints defense on Sunday. That makes sense to me. I do think it's a little bit rare that he could finish the game and then not be able to play with this turf toe. Can you just give me a little bit more insight into that?
Well, there's no question, adrenaline is pumping. Here you go. And, et cetera, the magic of Toradol, et cetera, but also swelling after the game. And as it swells, it becomes a lot stiffer, especially a turf toe injury. And that is what explains it. And we have to give some credit to Brock Purdy and his toughness to play through that to the point that we didn't even notice. So I think that is a factor too. Look, Ross, I'm sure there's plenty of games that you were hurt, that you played through and kept practicing through, and you weren't even on the injury report.
I can remember one time, Wednesday walkthrough, I thought my foot was broken. I thought I had a stress fracture. Every step I took, there was like a sharp pain. And I hadn't noticed anything in the game on Sunday. And this was like Wednesday's walkthrough. And I said after the walk, I said, I think my foot is broken. And they're like, what? And they said, no, it's just turf toe. That's a painful injury, man. That's like a sharp, painful, you take a certain step and it's like, ow.
And you can't roll off your foot and push off. And of course, it's his back foot, which affects him throwing even more, which is part of the thing. It's the toe that's going to keep him out, not the left shoulder. And you're making the point, Ross. Turf toes can swell over the next day or two after the game. And you experienced it before yourself.
All right, what about Bears? The Bears were still waiting on. They had 3 of their best defensive players couldn't play on Monday night.
Yeah, and it's close to a repeat. At least those players aren't going to be 100%. And so now they face who? The Detroit Lions, and that's why we like a sort of comeback. Detroit kind of was not great offensively in their first game against Green Bay. Here's a chance for them to get right. And, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 65.5 yards over, seems like a good play given their secondary issues, linebacker issues, etc.
Ooh, okay. Love it. So we're going under on Josh Jacobs rushing yards, over on Amon-Ra St. Brown receiving yards, under on the team total for the Niners, 21.5. Give me give me one more. Is there anything Raiders maybe Monday night? I know Bowers has an injury.
Monday night, Brock Bowers is unlikely to play. Pete Carroll, who's always optimistic, says everything's all fine and good. He wanted to return. But there's a reason why the medical staff didn't let him. We believe he has a mild left knee PCL sprain. It's not season ending. He could, and we hope he avoids injury reserve. I think it's tough sledding. If Brock Bowers plays this week, which I don't think he will, you want to take the unders on him. But I don't think he will. The numbers aren't quite out yet, and you can ask Steve, but because it's a later game. But Michael Mayer might be a good thought and play there, especially if you can get a good number on him. His backup.
Ooh, I love it. The over on Mayer before it comes out that Bowers isn't playing. That is juicy. Dr. Chow, you are the man. This is valuable every week. I'm fired up that we have you every week. I can't recommend enough for people to go to sixscore.com, sportsinjurycentral.com, because there's actually a lot more where this came from, and they have a demonstrated track record, okay, over the last few years of winning over 56% of their bets against the spread just based on Dr. Chow's injury info, which, as you can tell, is fantastic. Thank you so much for the time again, Doc. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ross.
More great stuff right after this. All right, so you guys have been listening to me long enough to know that I'm into certain things, right? I really care about family. I care about love. I care about trying to maximize financial security for you and your loved ones. We've all had things happen in our lives. Don't even get me started on cancer or the loss of a parent, grandparent. I just want to make sure that you guys are covered and that you're aware of Ethos, which is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy. If you don't have life insurance, okay, you really, really need to consider this. It's not a complicated process. There's not a medical exam. It's 100% online. Life insurance is more affordable than you think. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Ross. That's ethos.com/Ross. All right, Steve. By the way, that's making me feel what he said about the Packers O-line, making me feel even better about our under 48.5 bet on the game tonight. I'm a little surprised that line hasn't changed, but I mean, Packers down 2 starting offensive linemen, that makes it less likely to me that this game goes over. So I'm feeling good about what Chao said about the Packers O-line. All right, what about any other props that jump out to you this week, Steve? In addition to the one, by the way, do you like the ones that Chao mentioned, Dr. Chao?
Yeah, I'm going to give you not one but 2 parlays. Let's parlay Washington plus 3.5 with Josh Jacobs under 77.5. And you know what? I'm going to add a 3-teamer. Tack the under on the game as well. So Washington, Green Bay under, and Josh Jacobs under.
Okay, so the under on the game, the under on Jacobs, and Washington plus 3.5.
3-teamer, yes.
So did you give a 2-teamer and a 3-teamer?
I did. The 2-teamers, just Washington and Josh Jacobs under.
Got it. And that's based on Dr. Chow's O-line injury info or anything else?
Mainly upon the injury information to linemen. Nothing special on these linemen, but I mean, they're starters. If they're out, the continuity. Thursday game, not much time to figure out the new blocking schemes, right? And so Green Bay struggling to move the ball. Running back has a bad game. Green Bay doesn't score many points. Game goes under. Washington covers. By the way, I do like Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of money on both those guys. Zach Tom, they love. He's their best offensive lineman, maybe at right tackle. They signed Aaron Banks in free agency from the Niners. I mean, those are two guys they consider two of their best offensive linemen.
Ooh, okay. I saw like Zach Tom was like rated in the middle by Pro Football Focus, and the other dude wasn't rated as high. But I mean, I don't know how accurate those are. I do like Deebo Samuel to go over for his catches, over 4.5. He balled out last week in a blowout, easy win where Washington was running the ball a lot. So if they have to throw more in a competitive game, Deebo over 4.5. That's not in the parlay, but that's a play I like.
Got it. Okay. I like it. What about any other? So you like the over prop bet. So we're talking prop bets and parlays here. You like the over 4.5 catches for Deebo. Let's move on to the weekend a little bit. Any parlays that our friends that like to do parlays should be jumping on?
Yeah, so I like this correlation. I'm going to take New England plus 1.5 against Miami. All right. And I'm going to parlay it with Las Vegas on Monday Night Football. Now, why is it correlated? When we play parlays, we like the correlation. It's a sneaky correlation because New England just played Vegas. And now we're worried maybe New England's not that good, Ross. Well, if New England shows well on Sunday, maybe it's just Vegas is better than we thought. And if Vegas is better than we thought, we want to bet on them on the Monday night game. So New England parlayed to Vegas.
Got it. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. Last week, I think I maybe touched on it briefly on Tuesday's Even Money podcast. Steve was 2 for 2 on the props he gave out on the show, if you remember. Josh Allen, first half, under 116.5 yards, which is crazy because Josh Allen went berserk in the fourth quarter. And then Matthew Stafford, first half, under 122.5. So Steve is 2-0 on the show on his prop bets. The parlays, I mean, you know, the Colts, Falcons, Ravens was plus 600. And then the Lions, Vikings was plus 280. With the Lions getting the 2.5 points. That was the Ben Johnson parlay. Obviously, I think most of you are smart enough to know that the parlays we're giving out, not because we think it's the best idea to win or to make money, but because we've learned a lot of you like playing parlays and you don't really care and you just want us to tell you what our favorite parlays are. So we've given out a couple now. We got 2 of different ones for tonight. We've got New England plus 1.5, plus the Raiders plus 3.5. All right, any other prop bets, whether it's Monday night or Sunday with the Colts? Any other prop bets jump out, Steve?
I'm going to give you 3 of them. Indianapolis, their rookie tight end Warren. We're going to go over. I haven't seen a yardage number. It's probably going to be, in the low 50s, but he got 76 yards in a blowout win where the Colts should have just been running the ball. So they weren't throwing, and he still went for 76. That makes sense to me. And going to Monday Night Football, I do think Jacoby Myers over. He had a monster game to start the year again with the Raiders ahead. The Raiders could be behind in this game, so I'll play him over. And I do think on the Chargers side, I'm going to take Hampton, the rookie running back, over for his rush yards. Hey, he only went for 48 yards in game 1, but he was getting all the carries. No other Charger running back got more than 1 carry, Ross. So Hampton's the bell cow. Hampton over rush yards.
Okay, wow. So, all right. So we got Tyler Warren over on the yards, not the receptions. When his yards number, it's not out yet, though?
I'm not at DraftKings. I didn't see it.
Okay. So when his number's out, we're going over. But how can you say that? What if the number's really high? You just know it won't be that high?
It won't be that high because it'll be grounded on what they were doing last week. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And then also, you love the volume that Omari and Hampton got with, having 15 rushes, only 48 yards against the Chiefs because they were focused on closing him down. I actually love that, Steve, because Herbert lit up the Chiefs, right? So now you're the Raiders defense. You can't let Justin Herbert slice and dice you to Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen. They're going to be much more focused, I believe, on the passing game, which will open things up for Omari and Hampton. And that's a good point about Jacoby Myers. 8 catches, 97 yards, as the Raiders had the lead. Now, in a game that they're the underdog and probably will be behind, he could put up really good numbers. That is awesome.
And Brock Bowers is out, so there's a lot of touches that are going to go to other receivers.
Oh my gosh, that's a terrific point. I love it. At Fezzik Sports, at Ross Tucker NFL, you can get all these bets in black and white. Patreon.com/RT Media. Make sure you're a Tuckheads member to get the vaunted grades spreadsheet. Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for tuning in to Even Money. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.